Imagine stepping off a plane expecting to land in sunny Spain, only to find out you've accidentally landed in bustling Beijing. Welcome to the journey of our hapless tourist. Meet our protagonist, a well-meaning but seemingly always confused individual. He's the kind of guy who'd bring an umbrella to the desert if you catch my drift. Now, picture his wide-eyed surprise at finding himself amidst the towering skyscrapers and neon lights of Beijing, instead of the sun-drenched beaches of Spain he was daydreaming about. As our tourist stands bewildered in the heart of China, he attempts to communicate with the locals. But here's the kicker. He's armed with nothing but a Spanish phrasebook. Cue a series of humorous miscommunications as he tries to order paella at a Baozi stand or asks for the way to La Rambla amidst the labyrinthine hutongs. And so, our tourist, armed with nothing but a Spanish phrasebook, sets off to explore the streets of Beijing. Our tourist, ever the optimist, decides to try some local cuisine. Little does he know, the menu isn't in Spanish or English. Intrigued by the vibrant and bustling atmosphere of a local Chinese eatery, our tourist, armed with a spirit of adventure and a hungry belly, decides to dive into the culinary unknown. The menu, written in elegant Chinese characters, might as well be hieroglyphs to our unsophisticated traveler. But hey, how hard can it be, right? With a confident nod and a thumbs up, he points to the first item he sees on the menu, oblivious to the smirks of the locals around him. The waiter dips his head in acknowledgement, suppressing a chuckle, and scuttles off to the kitchen. Our tourist sits back, a proud grin on his face, eagerly awaiting his meal. Oh, the look on his face when the waiter returns, not with a plate of fried rice as he'd imagined, but with a steaming bowl of chicken feet. The tourist's eyes widen in disbelief, and he looks around to see if this is some sort of practical joke. The locals, however, are laughing and whipping out their phones, capturing the moment for posterity. Not to be outdone, our brave tourist decides to give it a shot. His face contorts in a play of emotions as he navigates the exotic dish. It's safe to say that the taste was a revelation, and not necessarily a pleasant one. He gulps down some water, trying to douse the flaming sensation in his mouth, while the locals cheer him on, their laughter echoing through the restaurant. His next attempt at ordering isn't any better. He mispronounces the word so badly that he ends up with a plate of stinky tofu. His reaction to the pungent dish sends the locals into another fit of laughter. But our tourist is nothing if not resilient. He finishes his meal with a determined grimace, earning a round of applause from the amused locals. After all, they say that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? After a meal that can only be described as an experience, our tourist decides it's time to check out the sights. With a belly full of unidentifiable food, our tourist sets off to explore, armed with his trusty map that's in Spanish. He zigzags through the city, his nose buried in the map, completely oblivious to the fact that Spanish and Mandarin are as different as apples and oranges. He finds himself in places he never intended to visit. A pet shop instead of a palace, a bustling fish market instead of a serene park. But hey, who's to argue with destiny, right? He stumbles into hilarious exchanges with locals. There's the old lady who insists on feeding him more strange food, a group of school kids who become his unofficial tour guides, and a street musician who serenades him with traditional Chinese songs. Despite the confusion, he experiences the city in a uniquely unforgettable way. He discovers alleyways filled with history, shops brimming with curiosities, and people bursting with stories. And so, as the sun sets on Beijing, our tourist heads back to his hotel, his head full of unforgettable memories and his suitcase full of souvenirs, and maybe a few extra Spanish phrasebooks.